I think it's been 4 years or so since I left Instagram, since I quit one of the most popular social media platforms out there on the internet. And as somebody who is a professional content creator, this is kind of a big deal. And it's weird that we're even considering this a big deal. But apparently it is because people ask me all of the time, where did you go? Are you alive? Why aren't you posting on Instagram? And my mom is asking me, where are the Instagram pics? And there's a few reasons why someone would want to be on Instagram. You have a brand or business and you want to promote it, advertise it, marketing. And another reason is for the social aspect of it. You want to stay in touch with your friends, your coworkers, your fellow students if you're in school. And another reason is because you want to keep up with other brands and businesses. You want to support your local restaurants or your favorite Etsy maker, crafter, creator person. Regardless, there's a few reasons why anybody would want or should be on Instagram. And I definitely fall into those buckets. Where the value stopped coming in for me was I have my notes here. Let's get in the time machine here real quick and time travel back to when I first joined Instagram. And the reason that I joined Instagram was because I was sharing my photography on a little website called Flickr, and it was a swell time until people stopped posting on Flickr and they started to go to this cool hip new platform called Instagram. And so I thought, hey, cool, I'll join the bandwagon. There I was, posting my photography and things that I thought looked cool on Instagram. Little did I know that people on Instagram were not interested in my photography, but rather they just wanted to see my face. And so I started to post more of my travel stuff and was posting pictures of me in exotic locations and yada yada. And I was putting all of this work in, and I started to gain traction very, very gradually. I'm talking like molasses here. But nonetheless, I was growing on Instagram until I wasn't. The big instigator for that was when Instagram changed from the chronological feed to this algorithmic feed. All of a sudden, I went from getting a couple thousand likes per photo to maybe getting 100. And that impacted my ability to sell myself to brands, my morale, my motivation. And it's not to say that the likes were giving me validation, but rather that receiving less likes meant to me that there was less people seeing all of the hard work that I was putting into creating this content. And that was super frustrating. So that was the first step towards my decline. This is the decline of Red Romina's Instagram empire. I'm sure you've heard this before. I'm sure you've seen other creators complain about this before. This is an old issue. Some people didn't have this problem. I was not one of those fortunate ones. And after a while, I felt like what was working was things that I didn't really necessarily want to post. And it kind of sucked. And honestly, especially with like travel content, there was this silent expectation to post these extraordinary shots of extremely exotic locations. And it sets up a false narrative for what traveling really is. Not every location that I visit is beautiful on site. I don't have crystal clear blue waters in all of my photos. Sometimes they're grungy and dark and dirty because that's what the place is like. That's what the culture is like. Is a little bit disappointing to want to share the world with the world and then not having the feedback that I was expecting. Let's go back into the time machine now and fast forward a little bit. After a few years of being on Instagram in this kind of in between state of loving and hating what I was doing and having not the most ideal engagement, living in this space, I was still getting brand deal offers. I was still getting spam bots in the comments and in my DMs. And this really put this era really put things into perspective and showed me the kinds of connections that I was making on Instagram or fake connections. They weren't really interested in the content that I was making or even in the audience that I had. They didn't care about you. They didn't care who you are or why you were following me or engaging with my posts. They didn't care about your story. I didn't just want to sell stuff to my audience because it was so hard to gain the trust of people who follow me, who still follow me and have followed me for almost 20 years now. I know that there's people out there who have followed me for that long, and to gain that trust from someone is so precious that the idea of ruining that relationship and that trust over a free product or a $50 review, it really irked me the wrong way. And those were the kinds of offers that I was getting on Instagram and that I still get. Even though I don't post on Instagram. It's like these companies and these brands, they aren't even looking, they aren't concerned about who you are watching me and following me and engaging with my posts. Whenever I share something, I want to make sure that it's something that I endorse and it's something that I love and that it's something that I think you would love too. I'm not like trash talking any other creators who decide to endorse products or sell out, as they call it. I don't believe in that. I think everybody's got to do what feels right for them, and to me that didn't feel right. And those were the things that I was getting on Instagram. There were really cheap products, there were things that didn't matter, and it was so much spam in my DMs. And what's worse is that I was getting these fake connections even from people who weren't companies or businesses. They're other personal brands or influencers or creators, and like they wanted to get into my DMs because of the follows that I had on Instagram or the people that I took pictures with because I had friends that they wanted to be friends with because they were influential or whatever. This is the kind of environment that is fostered on Instagram, and it all stems from starting the algorithmic feed. It all snowballed from that point forward. If you start to hear a little like rustling sound, it's because it just started raining, and it's very loud. There's like storm warnings and flood flashes and all sorts of things. But don't worry, I'm fine for now. Okay, one last thing that I do want to talk about, which I'm sure you've dealt with before. It is the idea of FOMO, or feeling this comparison emotion towards the people that I was following. I'm a pretty strong person when it comes to that. How do I put this? I am independent and I am confident in being by myself. As a creator on Instagram, I wasn't getting value as a creator. So I then shifted towards being a consumer and a user on Instagram. So not being a creator on Instagram. And so whenever I was logging onto Instagram, I was consuming, and I was looking at this feed that was being shoved into my brain. It was telling me that I didn't have the things that I needed, and that I was not good enough, and that I was too slow, and that I wasn't where I needed to be in life, and that my friends and colleagues were doing so much better than I was, and that my friends had nicer things, nicer clothes, nicer bags, nicer haircuts, nicer eyebrows. I love myself and I am confident in myself, and I've always pretty much been that way. I've not really had a lot of like resentments towards who I am or what I look like. You know, I went through the teenage phase of like feeling insecure. I went through puberty. Overall, I feel really good about myself. And I'm not saying that to flex, but I'm saying that as for context, that even a person as strong-willed and as confident as I am with myself, I found myself asking these questions of why me or why not me while I was looking at this feed. I realized, you know what? This is a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. And I think that it is a waste of time and energy for you too. So if you find yourself in a position where you relate to any of the things that I said in this video, whether you are a creator on Instagram or you are a consumer on Instagram, consider taking a sabbatical and removing Instagram from your life. And you know what? You don't have to delete your profile if you don't want to. I still like having my profile, and there's a lot of benefits towards having Instagram, especially while I'm traveling, because when traveling, I can DM people fairly easily when they aren't able to text me. And this applies more to being abroad. And there's also like being able to stay in touch with some of those contacts from abroad, where I don't necessarily give them my phone number, but you know, we can stay in touch via Instagram. Like, using it as a proper social networking site can have its benefits. If you're struggling with any of the things that I mentioned, then it's hard to combat that without completely eliminating it from your life. I didn't delete my Instagram account or profile, but I did delete it from my phone years ago, and I haven't missed it at all. I still log on to Instagram to look at my DMs, and I do that on my desktop, which makes it super easy to avoid getting sucked into this feed, feeling like I'm missing out from posting on Instagram. I haven't lost any friends. I haven't lost any money. I haven't lost any business or opportunities by not creating on Instagram. just having a profile there has been enough for me to stay exactly where I was 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was that I deleted it from my phone and stopped consuming it. If you're having trouble eliminating some stuff from your digital life, I actually just released a micro course and it's under 30 minutes. So if you want to take it, you can, and get some pointers on how you can start to declutter that digital, all that digital stuff that's like weighing us down. I put a link to it in the description. It'll be free on Skillshare for a month. So if you want to take advantage of that, you can. Otherwise, if you just want to hang out on YouTube for a little bit, go down the rabbit hole of watching yet another video, then I suggest you watch one of my videos. You can check out this video where I delete a bunch of stuff on my phone, and maybe you can grab your phone and delete some stuff right alongside me while you watch that video. Regardless, I thought I had to make this video. I thought it was important to talk about this because it is a struggle for not just consumers, but also creators. It's okay. The world is not gonna fall apart because you stop posting on a social media website. You can still run your business. I know plenty of artists who are making 7 figures a year and they don't have Twitter or Instagram or any of that stuff. So it is possible to do. And don't lose hope. Have a great, wonderful rest of your day or night or morning, whatever time it is that you're watching this. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to see more videos from me. It actually does help me out if you enjoy watching my videos for you to subscribe so you can see more videos from me. All right, I'm gonna go now because it stopped raining and I'm gonna take advantage of that and I'm gonna head out. So I will see you when I see you. All right, you guys can go now.